Did you guys get the Ten Commandments from that naval submarine yet? You know, it's the NIV Bible. You see? Chapter 10, Night Operations, you know? It's area of best day vision, you see? Now, if you turn that sideways, in case you guys got a little bit sideways, I want to show you something. Remember, I never opened this book, but a couple weeks ago I gave a talk about open spaces, you know? Yeah, airplane propeller. Opening up the space to get in there, you know? You see how this is kind of backwards, but at the same time it's not? Fifth dimensional thinking. Propeller spreads the air. The plane will fly through. Okay? Now, as it fly through, it closes space behind it. You see? Look at jet engines back here, you know? Heat it up, spread it out, you know? But you gotta have open here too, you know? A nice square block, rounded at the edges, you know? Like the edges of space and time, see? Now, when it fly through, it closes behind it, you know? And then you got a wall to push against. But if it's too much heat and too much over-engineering, you got a big heat there, a big hole, and it's hard to feel, so it take too much fuel, you see? So you go, man, that's pretty interesting. Well, you know, let's see what we got. You know, I was talking about that earlier, huh? Okay. Come on, where is it? Okay. You got your ground reference removers, you know? I mean, maneuvers, you know, removers, but maneuvers. You see your figure 8 pattern here for infinity. It's like the earth is here, the moon is here, so they want to, you know? But if your heart is black, that's the problem. We got to put some light into it, okay? You go, man. Well, you know, Will Smith said, light up the darkness, okay? Now, the neighbor's submarines went into the ocean, into the darkness, so we could figure out how to navigate night operations, or what we like to call black ops instrumentation. Okay? And I'm going to tell you about all those different instrumentations that you don't even know about. But I'll give you an introduction. Now, just as a pupil sees the big light of the space in front of you, from left to right or west to east, then you get double vision. You see? You ever heard a song? You know? You got a double vision. You know what I'm saying? Okay? So, to get proper depth perception with one point of view, you can only get one point of view. And with the other point of view, you can only get a one point of view. So God gave us two eyes to see with so we could get some kind of depth perception for a deeper meaning in life. And that is the structure of the sphere that is around you with particles and atomic structures. You know, it's an atomic structure to flight. You see? It's decoding a light just like you decode the satellite system. We say the knife and the switchblade. You see, switchblade. You see, switchblade. Now, in case you got a little bit sideways, I wanted to give you a wider point of view. Okay, so we're turning sideways. You start to see a helicopter blade. Okay, now imagine the hollow space in between, okay, and the joining of the two, and then you could direct the heat out and away from the chopper vehicle, and that will create a better plane for the instrumentation to understand, so that you can not work the blades as hard. Because when you get the heat rising up underneath, okay, the heat rises up underneath because the pressure of the thicker air that's actually still there pushes on it, because cold air sinks, hot air rises, okay? So if you have a hot air rising, you got to think a pressure, a wind, a downdraft is a downsurge, air turbulence. And that is one way, only one way of looking at it. But most people, they see the manual, they don't know. There's two ways of looking at it. And when you look at it both ways, then you get the object of what's in between those aerial spaces. And that is the Trinity, the trident, okay? Okay, so now we're starting to understand the nuclear structures of flight. Okay, now when the heat is rising, that's thinned out air rising, okay? So it's harder for the helicopter to fly, A, through the heat of the desert, plus not enough pressure to keep stable flight, and on top of that, overheating the engines, and you got to think about the dust and the sand in the air choking out the engines, okay? And you say, wow, maybe we're talking to one of those Indian engines, You might know a little bit about that, huh? I'm going to say, okay, we'll see what we got for them. Well, you start looking at the atomic structure of flight, and you start understanding stuff like that. You go, maybe we can make something work properly, for the proper spaces and time that you're trying to fly through. And you go, man, that makes a lot of sense. Well, sometimes the instructors and the students talk, and you get serious intelligence. And you get, instructional services. And that is how we make the Sterling Flight School for the Top Gun Flight School.